We began the second week of Lent with the transfiguration of Jesus. Mark tells us that the apostles saw Jesus dazzling white. They saw Moses and Elijah. For a while they saw nothing because they were overshadowed by a cloud. And in the end, they saw only Jesus. Now, they did not understand what Jesus said about this rising from the dead. Later, the transfiguration would help them, that they would be able to interpret this mystery of our Lord's passion and his death. Our gospel now today, we see an unnamed man who dines lavishly and does not see a man who's at his front door, a beggar, a poor beggar. A saying in Jewish tradition tells us, whoever turns away his eyes from one who asks for charity is considered as if he were serving idols. And to borrow from the title of a book by Jumfa Lahiri, our gospel today may help us to see and to be interpreters of maladies. The gospel could end as a teaching simply on our obligation to care for our brothers and sisters, but it doesn't stop there, it goes on. Even after judgment, the rich man is still blind. He cannot see Lazarus except as he needs him, as a servant to bring him something to cool his tongue, or as a messenger who could go to his brothers. Sadly, like him, his brothers have not listened to the law and prophets to keep the covenant by sharing our goods with the poor. Having closed their eyes, they live in a death-dealing darkness. The story, The Interpreter of Maladies, sets the gospel in an ordinary human event. A family from the United States visits India, and they hire a guide for the day to show them one of the cities. The guide is a poor man, but he mentions that he has learned other languages to try and find better employment. One of his jobs, his other job, is to interpret for a doctor. Well, the wife offers him a compliment that what a beautiful thing to do, to be able to do that, to be an interpreter for the sick. At one point, a family picture is taken and they ask him to be in the picture. And then the wife asks for his address so she can send him a copy. At this point, the guide is feeling much affection for this woman. She is vivacious, she is young, and she has shown him some attention. He can imagine a correspondence taking place where he'll be able to share with her his heart, and he would like to hear her life. As the story comes to an end, he is alone with her in the car. The father and the other children have gone off to see something. And she shares with him her suffering, her depression, her grief, the difficulties in life. And she says, well, you are an interpreter of maladies. Help me. Help me. How can I get away from this? Make me feel better. And humbly and sincerely, he offers that he would help, but that she must share with her husband. And if she needs someone to listen and intermediate, he would do that. But she doesn't want that answer. And she becomes angry. And just at that moment, the rest of the family returns, being chased by a group of monkeys. They hop in the car, they're frightened, and they're going to go back to the hotel now. But as the woman reaches into her bag to take a Band-Aid to put on the knee of one of the little children, he sees the paper with his name and also his phone number fall to the ground. The woman does not see this. She does not see a very humble lifeline that he offers her, but he knows, nor would she have used it. She cannot even look at her grief, really. We may be humbled by our small resources. We may be fearful with what we the little bit that we have. But the Lenten Gospel tells us to see, not to turn our eyes from the suffering of others. Fearful and humbled by small resources, we may want to avoid interpreting the maladies of daily life. But not to see will harden our hearts. So let us be like the apostles at the Transfiguration and see the brightness of our Lord. May He in turn help us, enlighten us to see, so that our hearts will not be hardened, but may grow with love.